All right, back here on The Hash with Hatfield. Today's segment brought to you by VirginiaPreps.com. As you see in my background, Matt Hatfield here, pleased to be joined by the head football coach of the Tallwood Lions. He's been at the helm of this school in Virginia Beach since 2011. It makes him the longest active, tenured head coach in the district at a certain school. I know nipping at his heels is John White at Bayside, and Robert Jackson, who was at Lansdowne, is saying, hold on, I've been coaching longer than both those guys, but he's been at a couple different schools, Salem, Norcom, and the Eagles of Lansdowne now. But John Kepple, his team at 4-3 overall. And as you'll see, scroll across the ticker in a little bit here on this episode, they're doing pretty well in the power ratings as well. And Coach, will first off say congrats on the fine season thus far. I know you got 3 more games to play, but I want to begin with, we played it earlier in the show, the beautiful intro you had with the, I think, elementary kids, and you do so much in the community, I know, from years past. I was even at one of those overtime games where one of your booster club parents or presidents gave me a nice little shirt, which was cool. And it was cool to see your kids run out with the future Tallwood Lions before your, I guess that was your homecoming game with FC the other night.
It was, yes. Yeah. So we wrap our, we typically try to do that earlier in the year. And it just, with the hurricane schedule, where it was supposed to be a Friday and then our game got changed to Monday. We're like, you know what, we'll just wrap it with homecoming. It'll be a great thing for all these, for our community to see. But yeah, we go to Centerville. We went to Centerville this year. We go over there and work with their PE department with Tom Warren, and then this year we sent some guys to Woodstock also. They went over there, Woodstock Elementary, did some readings over there. But yeah, just something exciting. It's kind of publicity for our, we call it the Lions Night, Lions Community Night. And, it's just an opportunity for us to get out, to be seen with the community. It's our way of trying to give back. And these are the kids that are going to be coming to Tallwood at some point. We want them to be excited about Tallwood football. And, but it's, it's a great learning experience for our players too. We talk about being a role model and great leaders and things like that. And that gives them that opportunity to see that. And then, obviously the icing on the cake, to get them run on the field is just, I love watching. They're screaming. The kids are screaming and yelling. This year we've got the purple smoke and all that. And, it's just it's a great thing. I know Centerville, like I said, Tom Warren, they had a flag and everything out there this year. And Brandon Middle School with Coach Robinson, they come over in their jerseys. So it's just it's a great night. It just caps off some of the things that we do. In the spring, we do a free one-day camp for our community, and we get about 150 kids come out to that. And again, we'll go to the elementary schools and we bring a bunch of blocking bags and we let the kids block and tackle and do all that fun stuff in PE class. So it's a lot of fun. These kids our guys all went to these elementary schools, so it's fun for those teachers will call those guys out there like, you're so much bigger now, you're not that third grader you used to be. So it's a lot of fun.
That's really cool. I'll dive into your key players on both sides of the ball that have contributed for you thus far, including, I know, a guy, a 4-year starter in Reginald Costello, going back to the COVID-shortened spring season, if you will. But it's been a topsy-turvy Beach District, Coach. I remember tweeting a few weeks ago that of the first 25, 30 games, I think there was like 18 of them decided by 8 points or less, and like 20 of them had deficits overcome during those games. And you've been a part of some of these, winning in overtime against Lansdowne, beating Cox with a late touchdown, then losing a couple of heartbreakers to Kellum at the end and Salem at the end. You've been in this district so long. I know Green Run is the top team that you still have to play on the schedule here coming up with one of your last 2 home games after this Princess Anne game. But can you ever recall the district being so wild and wacky where on a given night, the 9th, 10th, 11th place team could go beat the 2nd, 3rd, or 4th place team, and it could set up for some compelling playoff games?
No, I think you're right. I think, this is probably the most even I've seen. Even Princess Anne, you came down, they lost to Kellum in the last seconds on a safety, and then Kellum's turned around and beat us at Bayside, and they're doing really well. So I mean, it just shows how everybody is so close through the districts. It's very exciting. I mean, I love it. I love being able, because last year I felt like last year was a complete opposite. You had, your halves that were beating everybody by 20, 30 points some games. And then, ones that weren't doing so well were getting beat by 20, 30 points by those other ones. And then, and we were kind of like that in between. We're in the middle. We just couldn't get to the top dogs, but we were taking care of the other one. Like, it was just such a big discrepancy last year. And then this year being completely opposite. It's a lot of fun to see. Every week, you just never know. You got to play every game.
Well, what would you point to as the difference? Because you've had some good groups in the past. I go back to many years ago when you had that playoff run with the Christian Byron, Will Howard, and that crew. And you've had some teams that have been on the cusp of things, and you've had some good running games with some backs like Gunnar White, who I know is at CNU, and Breon Mosley, and list goes on of players you've produced to the next level. I know Cameron Washington, who's now getting into coaching, if you will, after he played
Yeah.
at Old
Yep.
Dominion to begin there. But what's different about this group as opposed to the last couple of groups? And is it start with senior leadership for you? Because I know you got a nice class here in this 2024 group.
It does. It's definitely, the senior leadership. You know, I've heard somebody say in a coaching clinic, we all go to coaching clinics, try to get better, become better coaches, listening to leadership talk, X's and O's. And, when it comes down to it, I had one guy say it's not about X's and O's, it's about Jimmys and Joes and, guys going out there making plays. But the leadership, I heard somebody say the same thing in leadership. We don't, honestly, we haven't done a whole lot. We change, we try to get better every year as a coaching staff, but we've had, captains meetings, leadership workshops. We send our guys to different things. We get them involved and, we sit down and meet. But this group was just very different when you sat in those meetings. It was like they were just sponges. They were just soaking everything up that we went through and talked about all the different things that they wanted. And a lot of it comes down, it's their team, and that's what we, as coaching staff, we try to let them know that, like, this is your team. This is, how do you see us? Where do you want to be? And they've just really taken that on. And the big thing is, I think, is just holding each other accountable. They're not afraid. They can be best friends, but they're not afraid to call each other out if they need to, if things aren't the way it needs to be. But also, there's no jealousy. There's no guys that are upset. I've got, Nate Getz last 2 weeks ago hadn't had a catch for like 2 weeks in a row, and then came into the game this past Friday, had 3 touchdown passes for like 125 yards. I mean, it's just one of those type of teams that any given night it's your turn and everybody's excited about it.
Well, you mentioned Nate Getz, and he's definitely a big factor for you catching the football. That wide receiver position. I know you got Luke Beecham at tight end and up front, Tavin Whitehead. Tell us more about some of these guys that have been key contributors along with Costello here in this group that's allowed you to, I think, coming into last week, right before, you were second in the Beach in terms of scoring, right about 33, 34 points a game. So your offense has really started to click and really did so from game one to now. You've been pretty consistent in terms of moving the ball and scoring at a good pace.
Yeah, we, with those guys, last year we were kind of young, although we had Marquise Stevens and Coley at line and Savage, and Ziemba also. We had some good key pieces last year, but we were kind of young. So last part of last season, we ended up 4-1 the last part of the season, and our run game really picked up and really kind of got going and really put us on the map, getting our offense going. So we've just kind of carried that through. Tavin Whitehead being a big part of that. He, played tackle. I mean, he is a monster out there. He has worked so hard in the offseason, made some incredible gains. He's a kid that I think is going to get a lot of, he's got a couple offers already, but I think he's got, as the chips starting to fall, some people that come after the season, they're going to be some people looking for him because, he's very fast. I think we had a play that this last game where he's actually looks like he's racing Jaden Hill into the end zone. I mean, he just quick off the ball and can move and pull and do all those things, but he plays defense and he's tough on D, making a lot of plays for us there. And then Luke Beecham, like you said, another big body type guy, 6'6", 270, playing tight end for us. We had an injury, so we moved him into tackle last week. So he's going to kind of play both spots. Being able to run behind him at fullback is exciting, but he's a very good offensive lineman also. He's a guy that really, changes us. He's got to be on the field, and that was one thing that we talked about. If we find that, not having a tight end in the game might be our best offense, depending on who we play. That means he's on the sideline. And I told him that's not our best offense if he's on the sideline. So, but defensively, he's one of our top tacklers, playing inside for us, playing that nose and DN tackle type guy. But he's doing a great job there, so, for the line, those guys are doing great. As you said, Reggie Costello, he's a defensive monster. He plays everything for us. He plays inside linebacker, outside linebacker, plays safety a little bit. He can play man. He's leading our team in tackles right now. I think he's got 50 plus tackles already, with a bunch of tackles for a loss and interception. But he's just playing real tough. great leadership ability. Him and Tavin are doing a great job just, holding everybody together, holding everybody accountable. But he's on offense. He's a slot receiver. He's a wide receiver. He's a running back for us. He's had a couple games over 100 yards rushing. So we use him in so many different ways. Like, he's so versatile. I mean, he hasn't had to play some quarterback, but he's got quarterback ability where we can put him at quarterback and run some things with him. We've got a whole package for him if we need to. So he's doing a great job there. But we're excited about the way those three, and their leadership is outstanding.
And I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up Jaden Hill. Had 105 yards on the ground, 2 touchdowns for you in this recent win over FC, 41-14, where you had about 430 plus yards of offense on the Patriots. And I'd be remiss also, besides that, every year I think coaches, when they have to replace seniors, they miss some guys that have been there, and you figure out, how do I, fill these holes, these gaps. But you got some returnees beyond this year. They're going to make a presence felt as you try to make this playoff run and potentially be in line to host a first-round playoff game, which I can't recall if you guys have done that during your tenure or not, which would be awesome if you can get in that top 4 line there in Region 5A, where you have Greenwood at the top and you're battling with Cox and Indian River and Salem for one of those 2, 3, or 4 slots. But your quarterback, Jacob Rojas, I know back at the beach luncheon, Ray Colston was telling me and some others that Rojas at quarterback could be arguably our fastest kid, and he's been throwing the ball very well for you at the QB spot. And then you've got Amari Harmon. I think he's just a sophomore. He's really broken out this year as a guy catching the ball, and also had a special teams touchdown recently. Tell me about some of the others in terms of the underclassmen that are really stepping up for you as you try to get this winning season in advance in the postseason this year.
Yeah, with Jaden Hill, like you said, I mean, he's our top, running back, and he's doing it, and he's our main carrier. He's got 6 or 7 touchdowns himself. But and like I said, Nate Getz got 6 touchdowns at receiver. But you're right, with Rojas is just, I mean, he's come a long way. Last year we went in, he was our guy. We rotated a couple different guys in, but he was a 10th grader, and he made 10th grade mistakes. I'll be honest, there's not many guys that work harder in the off season and harder at what he does. And him, I was telling Coach Crowley over at CNU, we always talk about Gunnar White's work ethic at running back when he was here, and the way, because Coach Crowley talks about him at CNU, and we're like, this, he's got that same kind of never give up, always give it everything he's got. But I'd have to be honest, he's probably got the best quarterback coach, and maybe in the whole state, but Coach Wilder's his quarterback coach. So I mean, that he's doing a good job with Jacob, obviously, but he just really understands our offense. He fits our offense, what we like to do. He is one of the fastest guys on our team. He can throw the ball, he can run the ball, but the thing that he does really well is he's just very smart. He's a great leader. We run some RPO stuff that we've always tried to run, and our RPO game has gotten so much bigger because of him. He understands how to read and how to handle situations, and the mistakes he made last year is, we're all learning, mistakes. As all of us go in, we put a 10th grader in, we're like, all right, he's got to make mistakes. He's going to learn from them. And unfortunately, we've all coached guys that you have to keep coaching that for the next 3 years, but Jacob's not one of those guys. He's learned from his mistakes last year and got so much better. But he's really running our offense, making that go in so many ways. But like you said, Amari Harmon, even with Nate Getz as a senior, we got Amari as a sophomore, and he's got 25 receptions already this year, a few touchdowns. Special teams, he's a huge threat. He's one of the fastest kids in the state, I believe, for track. But every time he catches a ball, it might be in the end zone. The thing I love watching him, back there catching punts and kicks, he's aggressive. He's not afraid to catch the ball and go get it. But he does a fantastic job out there in space. And, we've got Tyler Shagno is another returning receiver. He's got 200 plus yards of receptions. Jordan Mittenall is also our backup quarterback, but he also plays receiver for us. Those guys are all coming back for next year. And then on the other side of the ball, Jordan plays defensive back. Amari Harmon's playing corner for us. Jaden Burris, Jarrell Burris' little brother. We got a dual team out there. One's a senior, one's a sophomore. Jarrell's a cover guy. He does a great job, really understanding it. But his younger brother, Jaden, is playing phenomenal at safety, able to come down out of the box, make some plays, and do some really special things in that safety spot. But then then flipping to that side of the field, we've got Blake Wallace is playing outside linebacker for us, who's a junior. He was leading the team with tackles, and he's been out the last game. But Tony Lee is another middle linebacker. He's actually leading the team in interceptions. Again, number 2 at tackles. So we've got a lot of good, solid junior, senior guys out there, and some young guys that will be returning. But these guys get better every week, and I'm excited to watch them play.
Awesome. I really appreciate you making some time for us to do this, and I'll let you out on this one, Coach. And we look forward to watching the Lions as they roar into November. What's going to be the key to being a threat come playoff time? And it feels like this is a group that's been quietly going about its business. You're getting better and better, and you want to be hitting your stride as you go into November. What's going to be the key in terms of getting there and then conquering a couple of those hurdles that may be in your way?
Our biggest thing, we've been saying it from day one, is we just got to take care of what we control. We got to be able to come out there, and you get the opportunity, you got to make a play. That's a big difference, I would say, in the years past compared to this group and groups in the past. When we need a play to be made, these guys are making plays. And they're making things happen. But also, we're just really focused on us. We're not getting caught up with social media has changed the game so much when it comes to the hype and all that stuff and what the players have to listen to and go through and all that stuff. But we really focus on us and what we're doing, and we come to practice and focus on us, and I think that's really paid off because we all know football is sometimes in games like this, it's whoever makes the biggest mistake is the one that goes home, and we're just making sure we're focused on what we control, and we play a team that's athletically better than us or anything like that. We're just gonna come out and play hard, and hopefully things will go well.
Looking forward to seeing you guys soon. I might be coming to that one in a couple of Fridays here. I know you got Princess Anne on the road here first up before you play host to Green Run and Ocean Lakes to close out the regular season. And then the fingers crossed that you'll get a chance to host in the first round in Region 5A, which is just topsy-turvy. You can go from 2nd to 7th or 9th to 4th in a blink of an eye in this region this year. Although Green Run looks to be the team that's got that 1 seed on lock if they don't trip up here between now and the postseason. Well, always a pleasure. Keep it going, and we'll talk again soon.
All right. Thanks, Matt. I appreciate it.
That's the head coach of the Tallwood Lions, John Kepple, with us, our guest this week on The Hash with Hatfield. We'll take a timeout and come back with more to put the finishing touches on this episode, and you'll hear now from our sponsors and supporters right here.